15 celebrities with the biggest BOOBS. 20. 25 largest natural brea *T's in the world. What if the flawless Hollywood perfection you've been worshiping is actually a terrifying illusion? We constantly idolize the silver screen's ultimate goddesses, obsessing over their breathtaking natural curves and seemingly ageless faces. But behind the multi-billion-dollar glamour lies a dark, agonizing reality of botched surgeries, silent suffering, and devastating regrets. Today, we are ripping off the glamorous bandages to expose the absolute truth. From legendary bombshells who carried the tragic, crushing burden of their natural beauty, to modern A-list titans who permanently destroyed their iconic faces chasing an impossible standard of eternal youth, these raw stories will shatter everything you thought you knew about Tinseltown. Hit that subscribe button, comment below with your favorite classic star, and welcome back to American Icon Stories. Marilyn Monroe. Norma Jean Mortensen, eternally immortalized as Marilyn Monroe, remains the undisputed symbol of Hollywood allure, enchanting global audiences with her breathless charm and raw sensuality. Embracing her legendary bombshell persona, she was instantly recognized for her breathtaking natural curves, which fundamentally redefined cultural beauty standards throughout the 1950s. Her famous figure became an inextricable, iconic part of her identity as the quintessential Hollywood starlet, elevating her from a mere actress to an absolute global phenomenon. On the silver screen, in timeless cinematic masterpieces like Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, Some Like It Hot, and The 7-Year Itch, she radiated an infectious, magnetic energy that made her the most famous woman alive. Audiences were captivated not just by her striking physical appearance, but by her vastly underappreciated comedic brilliance and absolutely commanding screen presence. Yet, the glittering diamond-studded world she inhabited was a heavy, suffocating illusion, carefully constructed by powerful studio executives. Beneath the blinding spotlight, the glamorous wardrobe, and that iconic million-dollar smile lay a profoundly vulnerable soul battling agonizing personal turmoil. Monroe was trapped in a relentless, high-pressure industry that frequently reduced her immense talent to mere physical attributes, forcing her to play the simplistic stereotype, while ignoring her sharp intellect and deep desire to be taken seriously as a dramatic artist. Her devastating internal struggles with mental health were meticulously hidden from her adoring public, masked by the dazzling flashbulbs of the ruthless paparazzi and the towering, inescapable expectations of her monumental fame. Her tragic, premature passing at exactly 36 years old permanently shattered Tinseltown's carefully curated fairy tale facade, leaving the entire world in a state of profound mourning. However, even decades after her heartbreaking demise, her monumental impact on high fashion and popular culture remains entirely unrivaled. From the dazzling pink satin gown to the unforgettable billowing white dress standing over the subway grate, her style continues to inspire modern designers globally. Today, Marilyn's enduring legacy is a complex tapestry of unparalleled glamour and heartbreaking vulnerability. She once famously declared her willingness to live in a man's world, provided she could remain a true woman within it. Her story serves as a deeply moving, tragic testament to the crushing weight of astronomical fame, immortalizing a legendary cinematic icon who conquered the globe, but ultimately paid the most devastating, unimaginable price. Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor was not merely a glamorous movie star. She was an absolute force of nature who ruled Hollywood with piercing violet eyes and an unapologetic, fierce grace. Universally renowned for her mesmerizing, legendary beauty, she possessed a famously natural figure that left audiences and co-stars completely breathless. In fact, her striking physical presence was so overwhelmingly powerful that her frequent co-star and husband, Richard Burton, famously described her iconic curves as apocalyptic, capable of toppling empires. Yet Taylor adamantly refused to be defined solely by her breathtaking visual appeal. She was a cinematic powerhouse armed with a staggering raw acting talent that rightfully earned her 2 highly coveted Academy Awards for Best Actress. Delivering explosive, emotionally exhausting performances in heavyweights like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf and the sweeping historical epic Cleopatra, she proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that her artistic range was just as immense as her magnetic screen presence. However, what truly cemented her immortal, legendary status was her unyielding, ferocious courage when the cameras finally stopped rolling. Long before it was considered popular, safe, or acceptable for celebrities to speak out on controversial social issues, Taylor weaponized her massive global influence to become a fearless humanitarian activist. During the darkest, most terrifying days of the HIV/AIDS crisis in the 1980s, when the government, the public, and even her Hollywood peers looked away in sheer panic and prejudice, she charged directly onto the front lines. As a dedicated co-founder of the American Foundation for AIDS Research and the creator of the Elizabeth Taylor AIDS Foundation, she raised millions of dollars to fight the deadly epidemic head-on, earning prestigious honors like the Jean Hersholt Humanitarian Award. Her personal life was equally dramatic, marked by highly publicized romances, numerous tragic heartbreaks, and severe near-fatal health battles. Still, she survived every catastrophic setback with an unbreakable spirit. She boldly declared her resilience, stating, "I've been through it all, baby. I'm Mother Courage." Even with her monumental fame, she retained a sharp, self-aware wit, humorously noting that she despised the nickname Liz because it sounded like a snake's hiss. Ultimately, Elizabeth Taylor's incredible legacy transcends her apocalyptic beauty. She remains the ultimate embodiment of fierce Hollywood royalty, leaving behind a profound humanitarian impact that continues to inspire and save countless lives across the globe today. Cher is the undisputed goddess of pop, a legendary cinematic chameleon who has fiercely dominated the global entertainment industry for over 6 extraordinary decades. With her booming contralto voice, outrageous Bob Mackie gowns, and unapologetic attitude, she has constantly reinvented her public persona to remain entirely relevant in a fiercely competitive, youth-obsessed business. However, beneath the dazzling, rhinestone-studded exterior lies a refreshingly candid woman who has never shied away from discussing the intense, often brutal pressures of maintaining absolute perfection in Hollywood. While many A-list superstars hide behind a heavy veil of denial, Cher has bravely shattered the industry's ultimate taboo by speaking openly and honestly about her extensive history with plastic surgery. From meticulously executed facelifts to complex rhinoplasty, she has openly embraced cosmetic enhancements as a necessary tool for professional survival. Yet even the most powerful global icons are not completely immune to devastating surgical missteps. Despite her vast resources and exclusive access to the world's most elite medical professionals, Cher has openly voiced profound, lingering regret over her decision to undergo breast augmentation. describing the botched procedure as an absolute nightmare that was horribly mishandled. She bravely exposed the terrifying unpredictability of going under the knife. Her raw honesty illuminated a dark, unspoken reality. The terrifying fear of aging in an industry where getting older and being entirely forgotten are tragically synonymous. She vividly articulated the unique, suffocating anxiety faced by legendary female performers who are ruthlessly judged by an unforgiving public the exact moment their youthful glow begins to naturally fade. By refusing to hide her surgical setbacks in the shadows, Cher has single-handedly helped to dramatically reduce the toxic stigma surrounding cosmetic enhancements. She represents a trailblazing generation of megastars who have completely normalized the pursuit of physical preservation while simultaneously serving as a crucial, harrowing cautionary tale. Cher vehemently stresses the absolute significance of individual choice, constantly reminding her millions of devoted fans that every single physical alteration comes with permanent, inescapable consequences, both positive and negative. Ultimately, her fascinating decades-long journey through the treacherous landscape of Hollywood beauty standards is a deeply powerful narrative of self-acceptance and unyielding resilience. She fiercely empowers women to unapologetically own their personal decisions, gracefully accept their flaws, and command absolute respect, proving that true longevity requires a remarkably strong spirit that no scalpel could ever successfully replicate. Nicole Kidman. Nicole Kidman has long been celebrated as one of the most elegant, fiercely talented powerhouses in modern cinematic history. With her statuesque grace, piercing blue eyes, and a prestigious Academy Award-winning resume that spans across a multitude of challenging, deeply emotional roles, she commands the silver screen with undeniable, absolute brilliance. However, even an actress of her monumental caliber is not completely shielded from the crushing, suffocating weight of Hollywood's impossibly stringent beauty standards. In a ruthlessly youth-obsessed industry that frequently discards women the moment they begin to show natural signs of aging, Kidman found herself facing the terrifying pressure to artificially preserve her flawless porcelain complexion. This intense scrutiny eventually pushed her toward drastic cosmetic interventions, leading her down a highly publicized, deeply regrettable path with paralyzing Botox injections. For a dramatic performer whose entire livelihood fundamentally depends on the subtle, microscopic expressions of the human face, the decision to undergo these aesthetic treatments quickly morphed into a devastating nightmare. Kidman was heartbreakingly transparent about her profound dissatisfaction with the botched procedure, openly confessing that she absolutely despised how her face looked in the immediate aftermath. The paralyzing injections severely limited her natural facial movements, effectively freezing the raw and dynamic expressiveness that had always been the vital cornerstone of her universally acclaimed acting career. She vividly described the immense, overwhelming relief of finally letting the potent toxins completely fade, joyfully declaring to the world that she could actually move her forehead again. This deeply unsettling personal experience fundamentally shifted her entire perspective on the dark, manipulative nature of artificial beauty enhancements. Following this brief, highly regrettable Hollywood chapter, Kidman courageously decided to permanently abandon the needles and wholeheartedly embrace a beautifully natural approach to the inevitable aging process. She has since emerged as a fierce, highly vocal advocate for aging gracefully, utilizing her massive global platform to aggressively challenge the toxic and superficial demands of the entertainment business. Her deeply personal story highlights the ultimate significance of genuine, authentic beauty in an industry that consistently values frozen youth over natural evolution. Kidman passionately emphasizes that true attractiveness stems directly from within, nurtured by disciplined, rigorous self-care routines like strict sun protection and a genuinely healthy lifestyle. Her powerful transition from seeking artificial cosmetic enhancements to proudly championing raw, unfiltered authenticity powerfully resonates, serving as a potent reminder that accepting one's natural evolution is beautifully liberating. Scarlett Johansson. Scarlett Johansson has firmly established herself as one of the most prominent, highly compensated, and globally recognized actresses in the history of modern Hollywood. With her deeply captivating screen presence, husky voice, and undeniable charisma, she has consistently commanded the silver screen for decades. Beyond her staggering, undeniable acting brilliance, showcased in emotionally complex, critically acclaimed masterpieces like Lost in Translation and Her, as well as her iconic, action-packed tenure in the record-breaking Avengers franchise, she is universally lauded for her breathtaking physical attractiveness. Johansson possesses a highly celebrated classic hourglass figure, famously boasting a perfectly proportioned 36-26-36 silhouette. Paired with her petite 5'3" stature and a widely admired natural bust, her strikingly gorgeous, undeniably iconic look has effortlessly transformed her into an absolute modern-day symbol of ultimate cinematic allure. However, navigating the treacherous, highly judgmental landscape of the global entertainment industry with such a famously voluptuous, natural physique has never been a simple task. For years, Hollywood's intensely narrow, unforgiving beauty standards frequently attempted to relentlessly pigeonhole her into shallow, superficial roles that focused exclusively on her striking physical attributes. Yet Johansson fiercely rebelled against being completely reduced to a mere visual spectacle. She boldly utilized her profound intelligence, remarkable adaptability, and ferocious work ethic to absolutely shatter those restrictive, deeply outdated industry stereotypes by consistently delivering incredibly raw, compelling, and emotionally exhausting performances. She powerfully proved that a woman can fully embrace her natural, breathtaking curves while simultaneously demanding absolute, unwavering respect as a serious, heavyweight, dramatic artist. Despite the overwhelming constant pressures of A-list fame and the relentless, suffocating scrutiny of the ruthless paparazzi, Johansson has incredibly maintained her celebrated natural physique through a deeply disciplined, balanced approach to diet and rigorous, consistent physical training. She adamantly refuses to succumb to the dangerous, toxic Hollywood trends of extreme dieting or radical cosmetic alterations, instead proudly highlighting the vital importance of genuine health, sustainable fitness, and authentic self-love. Her remarkable, inspiring capacity to fully embrace her natural body shape while continually delivering deeply compelling, award-winning performances has absolutely solidified her untouchable position as a leading global icon. Johansson's unwavering self-assurance and unyielding dedication to her craft continuously inspire millions of aspiring performers worldwide, powerfully demonstrating that undeniable talent, fierce diligence, and profound authenticity are ultimately far more vital than simply fitting into a predetermined, artificial physical mold dictated by society. Halle Berry is an absolute trailblazer, a fiercely resilient, cinematic icon who permanently shattered Hollywood's highest glass ceiling by becoming the very first African-American woman to win the highly coveted Academy Award for Best Actress. From delivering heartbreakingly raw, emotionally devastating performances in intense dramas like Monsters Ball, to executing high-octane, blockbuster action sequences in the massive X-Men franchise, her extraordinary artistic versatility is completely undeniable. Yet alongside her monumental, historic acting achievements, Barry has also been universally celebrated for her breathtaking, entirely natural physical beauty. Boasting a famously stunning, naturally voluptuous figure, she has consistently commanded the red carpet and the silver screen with a uniquely magnetic, unapologetic sensuality that has captivated global audiences for decades. What truly sets Barry apart in a ruthlessly superficial, youth-obsessed industry, however, is her profoundly powerful, unwavering commitment to radical body positivity and genuine self-acceptance. Hollywood is notoriously unforgiving to women as they age, constantly pressuring them to undergo extreme cosmetic procedures to preserve a frozen, artificial illusion of youth. In stark contrast, Barry has fiercely rejected these toxic societal expectations, choosing instead to proudly and openly celebrate her natural evolution. She is a highly vocal, passionate advocate for unconditionally loving the skin you are in, boldly declaring to the world that she has absolutely never felt smarter, wiser, or more comfortable in her own body than she does right now. By continuously showcasing her remarkable age-defying fitness routines and fearlessly sharing candid, unfiltered moments on her massive social media platforms, she fundamentally challenges the deeply flawed notion that a woman's inherent beauty possesses a strict, inevitable expiration date. Barry passionately emphasizes that true, enduring attractiveness massively transcends mere external physical attributes, repeatedly encouraging her millions of fans worldwide to focus deeply on cultivating their inner strength, profound wisdom, and personal resilience. Her incredibly inspiring, decades-long journey serves as a magnificent, living testament to the unparalleled power of authentic self-love. She powerfully demonstrates that a woman can absolutely maintain her stunning natural curves, unapologetically embrace the beautiful, inevitable process of aging, and still fiercely dominate one of the most competitive, judgmental industries on the entire planet. Halle Berry remains a formidable, entirely unstoppable emblem of absolute empowerment, continuously inspiring countless generations of women to fearlessly shatter outdated stereotypes, fiercely honor their unique individuality, and proudly recognize their own limitless, undeniable self-worth. Katy Perry. Katy Perry is an absolute, unstoppable juggernaut of the modern pop music industry, a vibrant, larger-than-life superstar who has successfully enthralled global audiences with her fiercely infectious anthems and wildly imaginative, candy-colored visual spectacles. Having shattered monumental industry records by selling well over 100 million records worldwide, she undeniably stands as one of the highest-selling, most incredibly successful musical artists in human history. Armed with a staggering collection of prestigious accolades, including 5 Billboard Music Awards and a highly coveted spot on Time magazine's list of the most influential individuals, Perry has thoroughly cemented her status as an absolute cultural titan. Yet, as her meteoric rise to global superstardom skyrocketed, the unforgiving, intensely scrutinized media landscape often attempted to aggressively reduce her immense record-breaking talent to mere physical attributes. Blessed with a famously striking, entirely natural 32F bust, Perry constantly found herself at the absolute epicenter of relentless, highly sensationalized tabloid gossip, and intense public scrutiny regarding her unapologetically curvy physique. However, instead of retreating into the shadows or allowing the vicious critics to dictate her narrative, Perry fiercely rebelled, weaponizing her unyielding self-assurance to completely paralyze her detractors. She famously, boldly declared that she absolutely did not care what the media said about her relationships or her natural body, fiercely reminding the world that millions of fiercely devoted fans were actively buying her chart-topping songs and instantly selling out her massive stadium-packing international tours. This profound, undeniable self-confidence became her ultimate armor. She completely embraced her naturally voluptuous figure with a playful, unapologetic pride, frequently utilizing her breathtaking, vibrant stage costumes to brilliantly celebrate her curves rather than hiding them. Her remarkable barrier-breaking impact reaches far beyond the music studio and the dazzling concert stages. As a highly beloved, incredibly charismatic judge on American Idol, she continuously demonstrates a sharp, quick-witted sense of humor and a deeply authentic, relatable adaptability that has profoundly won over millions of fans. Perry represents a magnificent, explosive fusion of raw, undeniable vocal talent and fierce, unbreakable self-confidence. She passionately believes that if a woman presents herself with absolute, unshakable confidence, she can pull off absolutely anything in the world. Through her massive, chart-topping musical contributions and fiercely independent persona, Katy Perry stands as a towering, magnificent emblem of female empowerment, completely redefining the modern pop superstar, while boldly inspiring millions of young women globally to embrace their true selves. Gwyneth Paltrow. Gwyneth Paltrow has seamlessly transitioned from an illustrious Academy Award-winning Hollywood actress into a remarkably powerful, highly influential titan of the global wellness industry. With her exquisitely sharp features, pristine reputation, and flawlessly curated public image, she has always represented the pinnacle of elite, untouchable cinematic glamour. However, even the most deeply revered, fiercely successful leading ladies are not entirely immune to the terrifying, suffocating pressures of aging within a superficial, brutally youth-obsessed landscape. When she reached the highly scrutinized milestone of her 40th birthday, Paltrow found herself profoundly gripped by a sudden, overwhelming midlife crisis. Succumbing to the intense, relentless Hollywood demand for eternal, unblemished youth, she made the highly uncharacteristic, deeply regrettable decision to visit a cosmetic doctor for Botox injections, desperately hoping to artificially preserve her famously radiant, flawless complexion. The horrifying reality of that fateful decision quickly morphed into an absolute, unmitigated aesthetic disaster. In a shockingly raw, incredibly transparent interview, Paltrow bravely pulled back the heavy, glamorous curtain to openly confess the terrifying nightmare of her severely botched procedure. She vividly recalled walking out of the elite clinic feeling utterly traumatized, explicitly describing her deeply bruised, completely frozen forehead that left her looking absolutely crazy and entirely unrecognizable to herself. The paralyzing, incredibly potent toxins had violently stripped away her natural dynamic facial expressions, leaving her feeling as though she had shockingly transformed into a bizarre, emotionless caricature. This profoundly distressing, highly traumatizing experience served as a brutal, unforgettable wake-up call, immediately forcing her to completely reevaluate her entire perspective on the incredibly toxic, highly dangerous pursuit of artificial, surgically enhanced perfection. Since that harrowing ordeal, Paltrow has fiercely sworn off paralyzing injections, actively championing a much more balanced, deeply holistic approach to enduring physical beauty. Through her incredibly successful lifestyle empire, she passionately endorses the vital, undeniable significance of rigorous self-care, strict nutritional diets, and intense, consistent physical exercise over drastic, irreversible cosmetic alterations. She has evolved into a highly vocal, incredibly transparent advocate for absolute individual choice, expressing profound admiration for brave women who beautifully embrace every single inch of their natural aging process, as well as those who opt for subtle, flawlessly executed enhancements. Gwyneth Paltrow's highly relatable, incredibly honest journey powerfully dismantles the dangerous illusion of flawless celebrity perfection, inspiring millions to fearlessly prioritize genuine well-being over the highly unpredictable risks of the surgeon's needle. Victoria Beckham. Victoria Beckham first skyrocketed to astronomical global fame as the famously pouting, incredibly glamorous posh spice, serving as a fundamental pillar of the most successful, fiercely iconic girl group in modern musical history. Thrust into the blinding, utterly unforgiving spotlight of the vicious British tabloids and the relentless international paparazzi during the late 1990s, she faced an unimaginable, suffocating level of public scrutiny regarding her physical appearance, desperately attempting to conform to the highly exaggerated, incredibly toxic beauty standards that aggressively dominated the era. The young pop sensation made the highly publicized decision to undergo a drastic cosmetic breast augmentation. For years, her heavily enhanced, gravity-defying silhouette became an inescapable, heavily photographed trademark of her wildly extravagant, jet-setting celebrity persona. However, as the fleeting chaos of her pop star days naturally faded, the haunting psychological weight of that artificial transformation began to take a profound, heavily emotional toll on her identity. Transitioning from a heavily scrutinized musical performer into a fiercely respected, highly formidable titan of the elite global fashion industry, Beckham experienced a profound, deeply personal awakening. Looking back at her highly photographed youth, she openly confessed to harboring immense lingering regret over her decision to permanently alter her natural body. In a remarkably candid, deeply vulnerable revelation, she explicitly warned young women against foolishly messing with their physical figures, heartbreakingly admitting that her surgical enhancements were ultimately born from a dark, deeply rooted place of profound insecurity. Desiring to reclaim her authentic identity, she bravely chose to have the artificial implants completely removed, fiercely embracing a beautifully natural, elegantly refined aesthetic that perfectly mirrors her current status as a highly sophisticated powerhouse designer. Today, her remarkable, highly inspiring journey of intense self-correction carries an incredibly powerful, deeply maternal purpose. As a fiercely dedicated mother to her young daughter, Harper, Beckham is profoundly determined to break the vicious generational cycle of toxic body image pressures. She fiercely utilizes her massive, highly influential global platform to aggressively champion raw, unedited, natural beauty and absolute unconditional self-acceptance. Victoria Beckham's stunning evolution from an artificially enhanced, deeply insecure pop idol into a fiercely confident, internationally revered fashion mogul serves as a magnificently powerful, incredibly relatable cautionary tale. She boldly proves that true, enduring elegance absolutely does not require a surgeon's scalpel, but rather a profoundly fierce, entirely unshakable acceptance of one's beautifully natural, wonderfully authentic self. Salma Hayek. Salma Hayek is an absolute unparalleled powerhouse of modern cinema, a fiercely talented actress who shattered Hollywood's deeply entrenched, highly restrictive stereotypes with her explosive, undeniable brilliance, bursting onto the international scene with a uniquely captivating, fiery screen presence. She was immediately recognized globally for her breathtaking, incredibly striking natural physical beauty. Boasting a famously flawless, perfectly proportioned classic hourglass figure and a widely celebrated, entirely natural bust, Hayek effortlessly cemented her immortal status as one of the most mesmerizing, visually stunning sex symbols of her generation. Yet, beneath this intensely glamorous, highly publicized exterior lies a fiercely formidable, razor-sharp intellect that has consistently defied every single superficial expectation placed upon her by a ruthlessly judgmental, notoriously shallow entertainment industry. Hayek absolutely refused to be diminished, marginalized, or reduced to a mere visual prop for male-dominated blockbuster films. Armed with a highly impressive academic degree in international relations and an unyielding, ferocious work ethic, she boldly took absolute control of her own cinematic destiny. She powerfully demonstrated her immense, staggering artistic range by brilliantly producing and starring in the critically acclaimed, deeply emotional biographical masterpiece Frida. Her breathtaking, emotionally exhausting performance rightfully earned her highly coveted Academy Award nominations, definitively proving to her vicious critics that her raw, undeniable dramatic talent was just as monumental, commanding, and mesmerizing as her widely celebrated physical curves. She violently smashed through the industry's thickest glass ceilings, paving a brilliant, entirely unprecedented path for future generations of fiercely independent women in the heavily guarded realm of Hollywood filmmaking. Beyond her staggering on-screen achievements, Hayek is a remarkably passionate, highly devoted philanthropic warrior and a fierce, unapologetic advocate for fundamental human rights. Utilizing her massive global platform, she aggressively champions critical initiatives, focusing heavily on vital education, global health, and absolute justice for vulnerable, deeply marginalized women worldwide. Honored as a remarkably inspiring Woman of the Year, she constantly utilizes her powerful voice to fiercely spread a profound, life-altering message of absolute self-acceptance and unyielding body positivity. She eloquently reminds her millions of followers that the most deeply liberating aspect of genuine beauty is realizing that you alone are the ultimate beholder. Salma Hayek's incredibly magnificent, inspiring legacy powerfully proves that true, enduring cinematic royalty is forged through a brilliant, breathtaking combination of stunning natural elegance, ferocious intellect, and a resilient, completely unbreakable spirit. Courteney Cox. Courteney Cox completely captured the hearts of millions around the globe as the beloved, neurotically charming Monica Geller on the monumental television phenomenon Friends. For an entire decade, audiences warmly invited her into their living rooms, watching her flawlessly navigate the hilarious, highly relatable trials of young adulthood. However, growing older under the intensely unforgiving, hyper-magnified scrutiny of the global spotlight comes with a deeply terrifying, suffocating psychological burden. As the inevitable, natural signs of aging began to subtly appear, Cox found herself brutally crushed beneath Hollywood's deeply toxic, absolutely relentless demand for eternal, unblemished youth. Desperately seeking to artificially freeze her famously radiant, fresh-faced beauty, she slowly descended down the highly slippery, incredibly deceptive slope of cosmetic facial fillers. What initially began as a series of seemingly harmless, minor aesthetic tweaks rapidly spiraled into a deeply regrettable, agonizingly prolonged cycle of chasing an impossible, entirely artificial standard of perfection. In a remarkably brave, beautifully transparent public confession, Cox explicitly detailed the terrifying, insidious nature of these gradual physical alterations. She heartbreakingly explained how the deeply isolating Hollywood bubble dangerously distorts your personal reality, slowly blinding you to the shocking fact that your own face has fundamentally changed. The devastating, jarring wake-up call finally arrived when she looked at photographs of herself and was utterly horrified by the completely unrecognizable, unnaturally frozen reflection staring back. Acknowledging that she had deeply, significantly messed up her beautiful natural features, she bravely decided to take absolute control of her physical identity. In a fiercely empowering, highly publicized move, she boldly ordered the complete dissolution of all her facial fillers, actively choosing to embrace her true, beautifully natural self. Today, Cox stands as a profoundly inspiring, highly vocal advocate for aging with absolute, unapologetic grace. She continuously utilizes her massive global platform to fiercely dismantle the vicious, deeply damaging pressures that constantly terrorize women in the entertainment industry. By bravely stripping away the artificial enhancements and entirely rejecting the toxic illusion of eternal youth, Courtney Cox has powerfully reclaimed her authentic identity. She completely abandoned the relentless pursuit of an impossible Hollywood standard. Her incredibly moving, deeply relatable journey brilliantly reminds millions of women worldwide that true, enduring beauty is absolutely never found inside a cosmetic syringe, but is deeply rooted in profound self-acceptance and the quiet, magnificent dignity of naturally evolving through life. Pamela Anderson. Pamela Anderson completely defined an entire cultural era, instantly skyrocketing to unimaginable global superstardom as the ultimate breathtaking bombshell of the 1990s. Sprinting across the sun-drenched beaches of Baywatch in her iconic red swimsuit, she famously possessed a deeply exaggerated, extensively augmented physique that fundamentally transformed her into the most highly photographed, wildly fantasized about woman on the entire planet. However, carefully constructing and painstakingly maintaining this wildly unnatural, heavily manufactured caricature required a profoundly grueling, deeply agonizing series of severe physical alterations. Believing that massive cosmetic breast implants were absolutely essential for cementing her phenomenal success within a notoriously superficial, male-dominated entertainment industry, she willingly surrendered her natural body to the surgeon's cold scalpel, sparking a lifelong, highly complicated emotional roller coaster regarding her physical identity. Behind the dazzling magazine covers and the blinding flashbulbs of the relentless paparazzi, Anderson silently fought a deeply agonizing, highly conflicted internal battle. By the late 90s, desperately yearning to completely reclaim her authentic bodily autonomy after beautifully transitioning into motherhood, she made the highly publicized, incredibly shocking decision to completely remove her artificial implants. She heartbreakingly confessed a profound, overwhelming unease with her incredibly famous, heavily manufactured appearance, expressing a desperate, deeply emotional desire to simply get her beautifully natural body back. Yet, the vicious, suffocating pressures of Hollywood's ruthless beauty standards proved incredibly difficult to permanently escape. eventually pushing her into a confusing, highly scrutinized cycle of re-implanting and re-evaluating her physical enhancements over the ensuing decades. Ultimately, after surviving the exhausting, deeply toxic demands of her monumental fame, Anderson has fiercely emerged with a completely transformed, remarkably empowering perspective on genuine beauty. She now actively rejects the deeply manipulative billion-dollar cosmetic industry, boldly and publicly declaring to the world that the very concept of anti-aging is an absolute, highly destructive lie. Completely abandoning the heavy theatrical makeup and the extreme surgical enhancements of her chaotic past, she has beautifully embraced the incredibly natural, profoundly liberating process of growing older. Pamela Anderson's utterly fascinating, highly dramatic evolution from an artificially enhanced global sex symbol to a fiercely natural, deeply authentic woman powerfully highlights the immense, agonizing weight of societal expectations. It brilliantly proves that true, enduring personal liberation is finally achieved when you boldly choose to completely love, honor, and accept yourself exactly as you naturally are. Sofia Vergara. Sofia Vergara is an absolute powerhouse of modern television, a fiercely charismatic, undeniably hilarious Colombian actress who completely conquered the deeply competitive, notoriously fickle Hollywood landscape. Bursting onto the international scene with her uniquely captivating, deeply magnetic screen presence, she was immediately recognized globally for her breathtaking, entirely natural physical beauty. Boasting a famously flawless, perfectly proportioned hourglass figure and a widely celebrated, naturally voluptuous bust, Vergara effortlessly cemented her status as one of the most mesmerizing, visually stunning cinematic icons of her generation. Yet, beneath this intensely glamorous, highly publicized exterior lies a fiercely formidable, razor-sharp comedic intellect that has consistently defied every single superficial expectation placed upon her by a ruthlessly judgmental, notoriously shallow entertainment industry. For over a decade, she fiercely dominated American living rooms as the brilliantly fiery, incredibly beloved Gloria on the monumental, record-breaking television phenomenon, Modern Family, while the ruthless, highly superficial media often attempted to relentlessly reduce her immense, undeniable talent to mere physical attributes. Vergara absolutely refused to be marginalized or dismissed as just another beautiful face. She boldly weaponized her spectacular, breathtaking natural curves and her distinctly thick, beautiful accent to flawlessly execute impeccable comedic timing, transforming potential cultural stereotypes into an incredibly empowering, universally adored character. She fiercely proved to her vicious critics that a woman can fully embrace her breathtaking, unapologetic sensuality, while simultaneously commanding absolute respect as a highly skilled, tremendously successful comedic artist. Beyond her staggering, undeniable on-screen achievements, Vergara is a remarkably brilliant, highly formidable titan of the global business world. She intelligently leveraged her monumental television fame to build a massive, incredibly lucrative commercial empire, consistently ranking as one of the highest paid, most financially successful actresses on the entire planet. Never afraid to look absolutely silly or intentionally goofy for the sake of a brilliant laugh, her deeply authentic, incredibly candid personality shines brightly through the blinding, often toxic Hollywood facade. She openly, playfully acknowledges the intense public fascination with her naturally stunning physique, expertly using her razor-sharp humor to perfectly navigate the chaotic, highly intrusive celebrity landscape. Sofia Vergara's incredibly magnificent, deeply inspiring legacy powerfully proves that true, enduring Hollywood royalty is forged through a brilliant, breathtaking combination of stunning natural elegance, ferocious comedic genius, and a resilient, completely unbreakable entrepreneurial spirit. Khloe Kardashian. Khloe Kardashian has lived virtually her entire adult life under the incredibly microscopic, utterly unforgiving lens of global reality television. Skyrocketing to unimaginable fame alongside her heavily scrutinized family, she was instantly thrust into a deeply toxic, brutally judgmental media landscape that constantly, viciously picked apart her physical appearance. Enduring years of cruel, relentless public comparisons to her sisters, the crushing, suffocating psychological weight of Hollywood's impossible beauty standards eventually pushed her toward the deeply deceptive, highly seductive promise of cosmetic surgery. Desperately searching for a protective armor against the vicious online trolls and the relentless paparazzi, she made the highly publicized decision to surgically alter her natural features, embarking on a highly complicated, deeply emotional journey with invasive facial enhancements. While she is openly acknowledged finding genuine personal confidence through a highly successful rhinoplasty, her terrifying, deeply distressing experience with artificial facial fillers rapidly morphed into an absolute, unmitigated nightmare. In a remarkably candid, deeply vulnerable public confession, Kardashian explicitly detailed the horrifying, deeply unsettling reality of watching her own face become completely, artificially distorted. She heartbreakingly confessed that the incredibly potent, highly unnatural injections left her looking absolutely insane, severely altering her beautiful natural expressions and plunging her into a deeply agonizing state of profound regret. The paralyzing shock of no longer recognizing her own reflection served as a brutal, unforgettable wake-up call, immediately forcing her to completely dissolve the toxic fillers and frantically attempt to perfectly restore her authentic, beautifully natural physical identity. Today, after surviving the exhausting, deeply traumatizing demands of her monumental fame, Kardashian has fiercely emerged with a completely transformed, remarkably empowering perspective on genuine beauty. She now actively rejects the deeply manipulative, highly dangerous trends of the billion-dollar cosmetic industry, boldly and publicly cautioning young women about the severe, unpredictable risks of artificial enhancements. Completely abandoning the extreme surgical quick fixes of her past, she actively champions a much healthier, deeply holistic approach to enduring physical wellness and absolute unconditional self-love. Khloe Kardashian's incredibly dramatic evolution from a deeply insecure reality television star into a fiercely confident, highly vocal advocate powerfully highlights the immense, agonizing weight of modern societal expectations. Her deeply moving journey brilliantly proves that true, enduring personal liberation is finally achieved when you boldly choose to completely love your beautifully authentic, perfectly flawed natural self forever. Joan Rivers. Joan Rivers was an undisputed titan of American comedy, a pioneering trailblazer who shattered Hollywood's thickest glass ceilings with her unapologetic, razor-sharp wit and brutally honest observations. For over half a century, she completely dominated the entertainment landscape, fearlessly utilizing her iconic persona to brilliantly mock the pretentious, hypocritical culture of celebrity vanity. Yet, beneath her loud, highly theatrical comedic exterior, Rivers harbored a deeply complex, highly vulnerable relationship with her physical appearance. She proudly represented an entire generation of talented women who faced the terrifying, suffocating stigma surrounding cosmetic surgery, boldly choosing to embrace the surgeon's scalpel rather than quietly fade into Hollywood obscurity. She transformed her extensive, highly publicized surgical procedures into brilliant comedic material, frequently joking that she had undergone so many dramatic facelifts, her own reflection was constantly surprised. However, despite her famously humorous, heavily guarded exterior, her lifelong pursuit of artificial perfection was tragically fraught with severe complications and profound, lingering regrets. Rivers courageously confessed the horrifying, unsettling reality of her highly unpredictable surgical outcomes, explicitly highlighting a terrifying botched liposuction procedure executed by an incredibly unskilled, negligent doctor. This deeply traumatic, agonizing experience served as a brutal, unforgettable reminder that even with exclusive access to the world's most elite medical professionals, the final results remain incredibly hazardous. Furthermore, she heartbreakingly expressed profound, deep-seated remorse over her extensive, paralyzing Botox injections. She famously lamented that the highly toxic treatments had severely crippled her naturally dynamic facial expressions, severely impacting the incredibly animated, wildly expressive comedic delivery that fundamentally defined her legendary, barrier-breaking career. Ultimately, the incredibly magnificent, deeply fascinating legacy of Joan Rivers extends far beyond her countless cosmetic surgeries and her brilliantly savage, unforgettable red carpet critiques. She constantly utilized her massive, highly influential global platform to brilliantly expose the toxic, completely impossible beauty standards that relentlessly terrorize women in the ruthless entertainment industry. Her deeply profound, incredibly moving final reflections emphasize that while surgical enhancements can temporarily boost personal confidence, they are absolutely never a guaranteed substitute for genuine, authentic self-love. She heartbreakingly confessed her deeply emotional wish to simply see her beautifully natural, entirely unedited face just one last time. Joan Rivers powerfully proved that true, enduring immortality absolutely does not reside in a flawlessly pulled, artificially frozen complexion, but in a fiercely resilient, completely unbreakable spirit, and undeniably brilliant comedic genius. The heavy velvet curtain has fallen, revealing the agonizing price of Hollywood's impossible beauty standards. We've seen natural goddesses crushed by the weight of their own iconic figures, and legendary titans permanently scarred by the unforgiving surgeon's scalpel. Now, we turn the ultimate question over to you. Does the ruthless, youth-obsessed pressure of the entertainment industry justify these extreme, life-altering cosmetic choices? Or has our society forced these incredibly talented women into a deeply toxic, inescapable trap, whose raw, tragic regret shocked you the absolute most? We want to hear your unfiltered thoughts. Spark the fierce debate in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for American Icon Stories to uncover more hidden Hollywood truths.